Hello. Today I'm going to talk about localization. I will share several tips for people who are struggling with attracting the Japanese developers. First, let me introduce myself briefly. I am Ayana Yokota, a developer advocate at JFrog. Now I am living in Kyoto with a lovely robot, as you see in the picture. Now I am a developer advocate, but before joining JFrog, I was a backend software engineer. The companies I belong to have totally different industries, sizes, and cultures. Also, I organize 2 Java communities. So this talk is based on such various experience of myself. As I said, the topic of this presentation is localization, especially localization of English-based content for the Japanese developers will be talked about. I guess you attending this conference know localization takes much time and energy. Moreover, in Japan, it is harder because there is a unique culture. And the more important thing is people don't want to read lots of English. They don't like dealing with lots of materials in English. Me either. Therefore, if you want to offer some information to the Japanese community, localization is inevitable. Then, when you localize something, what do you do? As you know, it is not just translation. Do you know what I mean? Localization is more complicated than simple translation. You don't just change the language of contents, but also have to care much more things. So now I will introduce 3 tips I learned through my past activities. So before that, look at these common errors. People tend to say, we want many people to read our awesome articles. So let's translate everything. Or, we don't have enough time, so don't localize. Read in English. It is clear that the problem of the first one is, of course, huge cost and time. However, doing nothing, like the second line, is not a good solution. If you do so, you should miss a lot of chances. To avoid these practices, what can you do better? Actually, the answer is quite simple. Choose your contents. The first approach is to filter your contents by type. Is it a manual, user guide, press release, blog article, or post on social media? There are a lot of types of materials you usually publish, right? Perhaps you think, then let's start with manuals. This is kind of so official and used for a long time. Yeah, that's why it's the most important. Of course, many people access to our manuals, but my recommendation is different. Through my daily work, I came to suppose that localization of kind of fresh materials such as PR things and posts on blogs or social media is more effective. Why? Yeah, as compared in this slide, usually manuals have a lot of pages and they are updated so fast, so frequently. That's why it's very hard to keep up to date. Also, they are written with simple expressions, right? For example, click here, press the button, choose from list, like that. There is no nuance, no tricky idioms, or no literally phrases, right? So it's easy to read, and automatic translation, like Google Translation, can work accurately. In addition, manuals are read when users want. This is a very important point. So they can read just because they need information. They need and they read. So they themselves make an effort to grab what they want. In short, localization of manuals is not so reasonable. It takes costs, but it's not so effective, in my opinion. On the other hand, on the right side of slides, press releases, blogs, and social media posts, and so on, are opposite. The most important thing is these materials may not be what users want. However, you would like them to read. Do you get what I mean? Where motivation to read comes from is different. Then you yourself should make an effort to attract them. Imagine who looks at a document written in an unfamiliar language, though he or she is not looking for it. If you don't them to miss your great contents, what you should do is to catch their first glance. To do so, localization is necessary. In terms of filter, there is another way. Think about topics. For example, I always talk or write about DevOps at JFrog. As you know, DevOps is a hot topic in the US, Europe, Japan, and many other areas as well. However, the level, how many people know or how much they know about DevOps is different in Japan. It is still new concept. DevOps is still not common here. So the basic contents are quite popular. Even though if we offer only high-level things, what happens? Yeah, quite simple. Users are not satisfied. So to choose what localized, topics cannot be ignored, of course. Actually, this practice requires cultural perspectives. If you are not familiar with Japan, you may have to ask somebody to help. but still it's reasonable to implement. So let's move to the next. After joining JFrog, I realized LinkedIn is very, very popular in many countries other than Japan. I was asked to share some info on LinkedIn so many times. And every time I say, in Japan, few people are watching LinkedIn. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the truth. LinkedIn is not so used in Japan as this graph says. Look at the first blue rectangle here. This shows how many Japanese people use LinkedIn. Very small, isn't it? To compare, I put same info of Instagram and Facebook, but still fewer, but LinkedIn is totally few. It has small population. Yeah, needless to say, social media is essential at present. Everybody uses, everybody spread info on social media, right? So it is important to understand the feature of how people use them. This approach also needs cultural points of view, but to some extent, you can imagine by using stats. I'm sure nobody put efforts to LinkedIn after looking at the graph I showed, this one, right? Don't you think so? The numbers never tell a lie. So there are lots of statistics we can access. So we can get hints from such numbers. And the important thing is throw away your assumption about social media usage. Next, well, these are the last cases I will show you today. These errors also often happen. For example, I tried to localize, but it is under review forever. It's not completed. Never, ever. Or, yes, it's done. Let's release right now. These patterns have a problem about the timing. Thinking about when to publish is also important. Now, do you think it is a too basic lesson? But for instance, imagine you are planning to release localized article for Japan. What happens if a person who translated it, let me try again. What happens if a person who created the page and a person who manages the schedule are in different time zones? Yeah, of course, it takes much time to complete it, and you tend to forget good time to offer the finalized article. As a result, you may broadcast the article which was created 5 months ago, maybe. Or you can open it when the Japanese people are sleeping. Actually, it sometimes does happen to me still now, even though I strongly recommend you to avoid it now. So it looks simple and easy, but it's not. Anyway, never forget to consider the timing. Decide the deadline and set the timer. Well, it's time to wrap up. So to sum up, today I was talking about what, where, and when to localize. Filter contents, choose the platform lots of people are using, and select the best timing. If you think about these 3 points, you will be able to prioritize your tasks and localize your great contents efficiently and effectively. And I said localization is not just translation, but I never say translation is not important. The quality of translation cannot be ignored. It can spoil all your effects. So, of course, we cannot ignore this. But today I focused on things other than translation. I hope you get some ideas you can use from now on. So that's it. Thank you very much.